I'm 82 years old. 7 years ago, I did something that everyone told me was crazy. I left my husband after 50 years of marriage. People thought I'd lost my mind. My own children were in shock. But sitting here today, looking out at the life I've built for myself, I can tell you with absolute certainty, it was the best decision I ever made. My name is Barbara, and if you're in a relationship where you've stopped being happy and started just existing, I need you to hear this story, because I wasted 50 years, and I don't want you to waste another day. When I met Richard, I was 23. He was 25. Charming, attentive, sweet. He'd bring me flowers for no reason. We'd stay up talking until 3 a.m. He made me laugh. He made me feel seen. When he proposed after 18 months, I said yes without hesitation. The first few years were good. Not perfect, but good. We had our first child when I was 26, a son, Michael, and that's when things started to change. Richard became distant, not dramatically, just less present. He worked longer hours, came home tired, stopped asking about my day. I told myself it was normal. New parents, financial pressure. Everyone goes through this. When our son was 2, Richard left, just packed a bag one night and said he needed space. He was gone for almost a year. I was devastated, but I was also a mother with a toddler. I didn't have the luxury of falling apart. I got a part-time job. My mother helped with Michael. I built a life without him. And then Richard came back, apologetic, crying, begging for another chance, promising he'd be better, that he'd realized what he almost lost. I should have said no, but I was 28 years old, exhausted, and part of me still loved the man I married. And for a while, he was better. He was a good father, present with Michael, involved. We had 2 more children over the next 6 years, a daughter, Jennifer, and another son, David. But something had shifted, something I couldn't quite name. Richard was there physically. He showed up. He provided. But emotionally, he was somewhere else. It happened so gradually that I didn't notice at first. The way he'd glance at his watch when I was talking. The way he'd sigh when I suggested we do something together. The way, maybe later, became his answer to everything. I kept thinking it was temporary. When the kids are older, when work calms down, when we have more money, when. The years passed. The kids grew up. Richard got more successful in his career. We bought a bigger house, took family vacations. From the outside, we looked perfect. But inside our marriage, there was nothing. We were roommates, polite strangers who happened to share a last name and a mortgage. I stayed because of the kids. That's what I told myself. They needed a stable home, an intact family. I could sacrifice my happiness for theirs. Our youngest, David, left for college when I was 54. Suddenly, the house was empty. Just me and Richard. The buffer was gone. That's when I realized I didn't know this man anymore. And worse, I didn't particularly like him. He'd become irritable, critical. Everything I did annoyed him. The way I cooked, the way I cleaned, the friends I had. Nothing was ever quite right. I tried to talk to him about it, multiple times. He'd either brush me off or turn it around on me. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things. Why do you always have to make problems? So I stopped trying. I found my own activities. Book club, volunteer work at the library, gardening. I'd built a life that didn't require his participation. We'd been living like this for years when something happened that changed everything. I was 68. Our daughter Jennifer was helping me clean out the attic. We were going through old boxes, deciding what to keep and what to donate. Jennifer pulled out a cardboard box from behind some Christmas decorations. It was taped shut, covered in dust. We almost threw it out without opening it. But something made me cut the tape. Inside were letters, dozens of them, old greeting cards and photographs. Not of our family, of Richard with my cousin Linda. The dates on the cards went back 23 years to when David was a baby, to when I thought Richard had finally become the husband and father we needed. The photographs were intimate, undeniable. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped them. Jennifer saw my face. "Mom, what is it?" I couldn't speak. I just handed her one of the letters. She read it. Her face went white. "Mom, oh my God. 23 years ago, Richard had an affair with my cousin, a woman I'd trusted, a woman who'd come to our house for holidays, who'd held my babies, and I never knew." I confronted Richard that night, threw the box on the kitchen table, told him to explain. You know what he said? "That was over 2 decades ago, Barbara. It doesn't matter anymore." Doesn't matter. 23 years of lying, of her sitting at my Thanksgiving table knowing what she'd done, of him looking me in the eye every day carrying that secret, and it didn't matter. "Linda and I ended it years ago," he said. His voice was annoyed, like I was being unreasonable. "Why are you dragging up ancient history?" I asked him why. Why her? Why then? He shrugged. "I don't know. It just happened. We were going through a rough patch. You were always tired with the baby. It didn't mean anything." It didn't mean anything. I spent the next 6 months in a fog. I didn't tell anyone else at first. I just carried it inside me, this knowledge that my entire marriage had been built on a lie. Richard acted like nothing had happened. Like because it was in the past, it should stay buried. He got frustrated when I brought it up. "How long are you going to punish me for something that happened decades ago?" But it wasn't about the affair. Not really. It was about what it represented. The disrespect, the betrayal, the fact that he didn't think I deserved the truth. And slowly, a realization grew inside me. A terrible, liberating realization. I didn't love him anymore. Maybe I hadn't for years. Maybe I've been going through the motions so long that I've forgotten what love was supposed to feel like. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized he didn't love me either. Probably hadn't for a very long time. We were comfortable, familiar, but we weren't partners. We weren't companions. We were just 2 people who'd been together so long we didn't know how to not be. I was 69 by then, and I thought I could have 20 more years, maybe 30 if I'm lucky. Did I want to spend them like this? Cooking meals for a man who didn't appreciate them? Sleeping next to someone who made me feel alone? Pretending everything was fine when it hadn't been fine in decades? The answer was no. I told Richard I wanted a divorce. It was a Tuesday morning in March. He was reading the newspaper. I said, "I can't do this anymore. I want a divorce." He put down the paper, stared at me. "You're joking." "I'm not." "Barbara, you're being ridiculous. You can't just, people our age don't get divorced." "I'm getting divorced." He tried everything. Anger first, telling me I was being irrational, that I was throwing away 50 years over something that happened decades ago. Then bargaining. "I'll go to counseling. We can work on this. I'll change." But I was done. I'd heard "I'll change" before. After he came back that first time, after every fight, after every broken promise, the words meant nothing anymore. I told our children. That was the hardest part. Michael, our oldest, was furious, not at his father, at me. "You're destroying our family," he said, "over something that happened when I was a baby? Mom, that's insane." David, the youngest, didn't understand. "But Dad's been good to you," he kept saying. "He takes care of you. What more do you want?" Only Jennifer understood. She'd been there when I found the letters. She'd seen my face. And she said something I'll never forget. "Mom, I've never seen you actually happy. Not once in my entire life. Not really." That broke my heart, because she was right. I tried to explain it to them. It wasn't just about the affair. It was about 50 years of feeling invisible, of being taken for granted, of sacrificing who I was to be who everyone else needed me to be. I showed them the letters, not to hurt their father, but to help them understand. This wasn't a rash decision. This was decades of small hurts adding up to something too heavy to carry anymore. My children came around. The divorce took 8 months. Richard fought everything. He told people I'd had a breakdown, but I didn't care. For the first time, I was putting myself first. At 75, the divorce was final. I bought a small house, painted it my colors, made my own choices, and I started living. I took art classes, traveled to Ireland alone, something I'd wanted for 40 years, but Richard always said no. I'm 82 now, 7 years divorced, happier than I've been since I was 23. Richard changed, went to therapy, lost his job, reconnected with our kids. We're friends now. We have coffee sometimes, co-host family dinners. He apologized, truly, said losing me was his wake-up call. But that doesn't undo 50 years, and it doesn't make me want him back. I spent 50 years being Richard's wife, being everyone's mother, being who everyone needed. Now I'm just Barbara, and Barbara is pretty great. I wasted 50 years hoping he'd change. The only thing that changed was me, older, less happy, smaller. If you're in a relationship that's making you miserable, you have a choice. I know it's scary. I'm 82, maybe 10 or 15 years left, and every single one will be mine. Don't wait until you're 75. Don't waste 50 years like I did. Choose yourself. It's not selfish. It's survival. My children understand now. They see how much lighter I am. That's my legacy. 7 years showing my family it's never too late to choose joy. If this resonated, share it. Leave a comment. And if you're struggling with this decision, know you're not alone. Your life is waiting. I'll live it.